Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're at it again. We're at it again. Welcome to the Quarantine Concert Series. I'm your host, Kabir Segal. We do this every night, like it's our religion, 10 p.m. Eastern. This is show number 31 in like 2.5 weeks. We're addicted. Just like taxes, you can count on the show. 10 p.m. Eastern every night, right here from the dining room table of my parents' house in Atlanta. They're sleeping upstairs, but they're not the only parents that are part of the show. I'm very excited about tonight's show, but I don't want to give away the secret quite yet. All right. Why are we doing the show? You know the reason by now. All the gigs have been canceled. They've been nixed. They've been abrogated. They've been removed. It's hard out there for the creative community, not just the artists, of course, their performances. It's the engineers and the bookers, the promoters. There's all these people in the live music world that have had their careers kind of put on hold because of the national and international emergency that we're facing. We are physically distancing from each other. We can still be social, but we're physically distancing from each other. So we started this concert series, the Quarantine Concert Series, to keep the gigs going, to turn the spotlight back on the artist where it belongs, and to bring to you the virtuosos, because they play from their hearts and their souls, and the rest of the year they're there for us. We should be there for them in a moment like this. So that's what we're doing. Where can you find us? You can find us everywhere. You can find us on the Facebook. You can find us on the Twitter. You can even find us on the Instagram cracker. It's very delicious on the Instagram cracker. Then there's the LinkedIn for all you vice presidents, senior vice presidents, chief financial officers, CEOs, chief marketing officers, associate vice presidents, marketing officials, accountants, search engine optimization experts, and chairs of music departments all around the world. If you're looking for a job on LinkedIn, I'm sorry to disturb your search, but we're bringing to you great music. That's where your heart belongs, with the music. You can also find us on YouTube. Subscribe everywhere so you get notified on these broadcasts. So that is where you can find us. All right. If you want to be an artist on the show, how do you make that happen? Well, you can see all the shows here. It's a big archive. We have a waiting list of over 60 artists to get on the show. Thank you for your patience. You can hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, send me a message, and we're trying to get through the request as thoughtfully and as carefully and not irritate that many people in the meantime. So I appreciate your patience and your interest in the show. We're having our recent episodes, there are about 50,000 views per episode. So thank you so much there I am. Thank you so much for tuning in. It really is marvelous. And we want to thank our partners at Facebook and LinkedIn for being part of these broadcasts and sort of promoting the content. We really appreciate it. All right. That's the public service announcement. And now for the best part of the show, where we get to welcome the incredible artist, in this case, Genius. She's a professor. She is a performer. She's a conceptual thinker. She's a virtuoso violinist. And when I first heard her music, I was surprised and I was intrigued because I rarely hear the violin played like this. And she's been playing it her whole life. And I'm so excited to welcome to the show the maestra, the incredible Ariana Kim. Welcome.
Hey Kabir, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, our pleasure. So tell me, how has the crisis affected you?
It's been a roller coaster. I feel like in one way, life has come to a screeching halt. It felt like things were going at 500 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden it came to zero. And then at the same time, there's been this incredible surge of energy and things to do and news and new information and directives and um, teaching approaches and switching all of my Cornell students to digital classroom settings. And so in a way, there's been this incredible halt, this incredible slowdown, yet it feels incredibly busy in that there's a lot of information and inundation going on, and the emotions are also incredibly complicated. My heart goes out to my heart breaks daily, for everyone that's suffering. I acknowledge how incredibly lucky I am to be able to quarantine in a place that's warm and safe, and I'm with my parents who are healthy, and my heart goes out to those who are on the front lines, those who are suffering financial straits, and yeah, so it's been definitely a roller coaster.
Tell people, I appreciate that, and it's very sobering, your assessment too and your response. I think it'd be nice to know some of the gigs that you've had to cancel, postpone. I want people to get a flavor of what you had coming up.
Yeah, it's been super sad.
And don't be afraid
Yeah.
to hold a microphone.
Okay. Yeah. The I guess the first was a concert that I had in San Diego, and that was going to be part of the Campanile Festival at San Diego State University. That had been canceled, and then sort of the domino effect started from there. There was two recitals that I had at Cornell. There was two projects at Bucknell University, one that combined live music and live dance with new works by Dan Temkin, a Beethoven concerto that I was going to play out in Palo Alto in the Bay Area, Chamber Music Society of Minnesota concert that was canceled that we were supposed to have next week. And yeah, it's been kind of, I looked at my calendar, and it was my March, April, and May were some of the busiest in the whole season, and now it's this. Now we're playing music at home.
I hear you. Where is home right now? Where are you broadcasting from?
I'm broadcasting from St. Paul, Minnesota. This is the house I grew up in. This is the studio that I used to practice in when I was a kid. I'm based out in New York for the rest of the year. But when it was pretty clear that things weren't getting better in New York, and I had the opportunity to come home, it just seemed like the right thing. So I'm here until the stay-at-home orders are lifted.
All right. Well, it's great to see you at home because I know you picked up the violin at an early age, and I can see where all the woodshedding happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you associate this room with pain or with happiness or a lot of work?
Yes, all of the above. Yeah, long hours, early mornings, late nights. My parents were my teachers my whole life until I went to college. So many long lessons. A lot of kids have, piano or viola lessons on Thursdays at 4 o'clock, but my lessons were anytime and at all times. So yeah, but it's lovely. It's lovely to be back. In a way, I crave extended times at home with my parents because I've lived away for so long. So
Yeah, well said. What would you like to begin your performance with?
so I'm going to start with this. Actually, it started out as a game for me, and what I've done is essentially made what I call a patchwork quilt out of a bunch of Bach's solo sonatas and partitas. And so essentially at every cadential pivot point that shares a common chord, I switched to a new movement. And I started playing around with this in honor of my friend Jane McDonald, who's actually hunkering in Brooklyn right now, because she's an incredible textile designer and she makes beautiful quilts. So in a sense, each seam is the start of something new, is the start of a new patch for the quilt. And I would like to dedicate this to her brother, who is currently in critical condition fighting COVID-19 down in Florida. So yeah, we'll start with the Bach patchwork quilt.
Awesome. So good. So good. That was amazing.
My parents are sitting in as my audience.
Good. I usually have an audience here ready to go, so I'm not going to use them today. So beautiful. Tell me, for everyone watching, we have several hundred people watching now. Tell me, when you picked up the violin, why did you know you wanted to play the violin? Why was that the instrument for you?
Well, it happened because it was sort of in the genes and in the blood and in the walls and in the floorboards of our house. Both my parents are violinists, and it was always sort of part of our lives. It was. Oh, sorry. 1 second. My computer wanted to
Yeah, and by the
interrupt.
way, if you have a question at home for Ariana, please ask, and I'll be sure to get it to her, and she can opine. We do have a couple questions now that I'm looking through, Ariana. Like, one question is, what kind of violin do you play as well?
Oh, yeah, this is an old Italian instrument. We're not 100% sure who the maker is, but likely was built in the mid 1700s. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so in the violin, because you were playing with your parents, some question people wanting to know, how do you navigate the relationship between parent and teacher? With your parents watching you right
How
now.
long do we have? How long do we have? Yeah, it was, I didn't know anything different. So it was to me all at once exciting, fulfilling, challenging, joyful. There were tears, there was lots of laughter. And somehow because it was so much a part of there was sort of no separation between life and love and hobby and creative space and career and profession. And so certainly not without challenges, but I think I don't think I'd do it differently if I had to do it
Yeah,
again.
I hear you. Amen. What would you like to play next?
I'm going to do a piece actually by a local Minnesota composer. His name is Steve Heitzeg. And he wrote this piece actually in honor of my dad, but it's in homage to the Boundary Waters, which most people know is sort of the land that separates Minnesota and Canada. And it's one of the most extraordinarily beautiful places I've ever been. And it's a little bit endangered at the moment. There are companies that are trying to start fracking there. Um, there are a number of activist groups here in the Twin Cities and throughout the state that are really actively trying to bring awareness to it. And Steve is a wonderful composer, and his idea was to bring awareness via music, via violin. And you'll see sort of here on the stand, I have extra equipment. And Steve brought down from Lake Superior a stone, a piece of driftwood that he picked up from the lake, and then I have a Tibetan singing bowl, and each of those will make an appearance in the second and third movements.
This is the backup audience right here.
I like that. I feel like I need one of those just in my life every day.
You can have them, and they're trained very well because they stop on command. Um,
Awesome.
Sounded brilliant. What a great sort of, I would even call it interdisciplinary, very tactile performance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's
Tell
not
me,
every day that violinists get to bang stuff when they're practicing. So.
yeah, well said, well said. I do want to take a moment and just, I want to talk a little bit about the last group project you did and success of that project with blueprinting. Could you just tell us quickly about the concept of the album and why you put it together, why you were part of the group that put it together?
Yeah, so I was a member of the Izuri Quartet for 3 years, and during that time, we explored sort of the sound worlds of five really wonderful American composers. And these were pieces that were either written for us or written in the last 4 or 5 years. And pieces that really spoke to us, sort of pushed the edge of the envelope in terms of what quartet repertoire and literature could be. And each one of the pieces really felt like it had a home for us and for our sound. And so that was that this collection of five composers is why we chose to make that our debut album, to sort of showcase all the things that a quartet can potentially be.
Awesome. And I love the album cover. Who did the album cover?
Yeah, isn't that beautiful? Oh, I'm blanking on his name right now.
No
It'll
problem.
come to me. But yeah, wonderful. He's a Brooklyn-based visual artist. I'm
And
blanking
you're
on
part
his
of the
name. I'm
Knights
sorry.
now, right?
Yes,
Tell us about
yeah.
the Knights.
The Knights is a really interesting, fabulous collection of artists that we sort of describe ourselves as a collective, in that we're sometimes as small as a duet and we're sometimes as big as a Beethoven 5 symphony. We all come together sort of through a mutual love of chamber music, and our rehearsals, even when we're in a big group, function as if it were a chamber music rehearsal. So even if there are 13 or 22 people on stage, everyone sort of has equal say. People raise their hands, give input from, second chair bassoon and first chair viola. So it's a really special ensemble. It's a group that I've been a part of for a really long time, and it's been an interesting sort of journey for us. And we do a lot of new music. We do a lot of the canon. We do a lot of sort of bringing in how those two things may or may not link up and lean into each other.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really special. Also based out of New York.
Awesome, awesome. What would you like to play next for us?
I'm going to do a solo piece written by Augusta Reed Thomas, who is a wonderful composer also from the Midwest. She's based in Chicago. And she wrote this piece in honor of a friend of hers who had sadly been diagnosed with terminal cancer. And one of the things that always stands out to me in this piece is how you sort of experience the whole gamut of emotions that might go along with a diagnosis like that. You hear pain and sorrow and suffering, and you hear confusion and frustration and sort of abrupt mood changes. And then at the same time, there's also a sense of peace and meditation at times, maybe even a peaceful resignation. And so this is Augusta Reed Thomas Incantation, written about 20 years ago or so. I have to remember to disconnect my earbud.
Yeah. As much as I want to ask you questions, I think you should just keep playing because
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Let's do
amazing.
it.
You're getting a lot of love out there from the internets.
Oh, well,
To
thank you,
give you an
internets.
example, um, Shirley said about the one before, so soulful. Lucy says that was incredible, loved it. Let's see here. Jennifer Beth Kanakanui says mahalo, lovely. In your previous track about the lake, hashtag defend public lands. So you're becoming a bit of a
Yes.
hashtag.
Yay.
You might start trending on Twitter.
Steve will be really happy about that.
Yeah, Gina
Yeah,
Kaju says, I'm listening live in Minneapolis. Love that we share the Twin Cities in common. Beautiful music.
yay. Hi, Twin Cities.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
What do you want to play next?
It's I'm gonna do a little. I've been experimenting with a looper pedal, and I'm gonna do just a little improvisation. I'm just gonna set up a couple of bass lines and yeah, see what comes to mind. Maybe this can be a little meditation for all of us who are hanging out in isolation. Hopefully those levels are okay for our amazing sound tech.
Awesome, awesome. We have about 12 minutes left, so why don't we go right into the next? I want to get your mom and dad both in there.
Yeah, awesome. We just have two short pieces to close the program. Um, and I'm gonna do some duets with my mama and daddy.
Hi, mom. Hi, dad.
The first is so in Bach's B minor partita, he wrote four dance movements, and then there are accompanying doubles to each of those movements that have the exact same harmonic progression. And they're not necessarily meant to be played as a duet, but they line up really beautifully. So I'd like to offer this sort of as a prayer to everyone out there. Yeah. This is my dad. Are you in the shot? Yeah. Okay, so this is the saraband and double to Bach's B minor partita.
Awesome. Thank you, Dad.
Thank you, Dad.
You must be very proud of your daughter.
I don't know. Are you proud of me? Says,
We're all proud of you.
says like this. Okay, and now my mom's here.
Hi, Mom.
And we're going to say goodnight with Jay Ungar's Ashokan Farewell. Oh, yes, thank you. Come watch. He's bringing me flowers.
Yeah. Encore. Encore. Encore.
Love it.
Let me know when it gets uncomfortably long.
It's perfect. Keep it coming.
Bravo.
It's like a
Bravo.
scene from Family
Bravo.
Guy.
Bravo. Bravo. Bravo.
Thank you, Kabir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is really nice. It's like one of those scenes from Family Guy.
That was awesome.
Perfect fade out. Perfect fade out.
That was
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you so
your
much.
family and your music and just
Yeah.
you're turning our Thursday night into one to remember. And I want everyone out there to check out arianakim.com. And there it is, scrolling. Also check out her album and her music online at Spotify. Subscribe to her. And do you teach online too? Do you take students?
Yeah, we've everything at Cornell has switched to, campus is on lockdown, so I'm teaching from here, using a lot of Zoom and FaceTime messaging.
Yes. So if you want to play like Ariana, I cannot promise you that, but you can contact her on her website, arianakim.com. Please reach out to her and bookers around the world. You need to bring her to your neck of the woods. You need to fill her calendar up when the quarantines are lifted. Thank you again for sharing your virtuosity with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for putting this together and for being the incredible force you are behind the scenes for so many musicians. And we're lucky to be able to share in this way. I'm super low tech, so I'm apologizing for my
Well, that's
poor quality mic and poor quality lighting, but
all
thank
good. Very
you.
good segue into our nightly plug for Sandra and Camilo, the wonderful tech team that
Yes, thank
makes
you
this happen.
guys.
Check out their website, soundworksrecording.com. They are open for business, so if you're an artist or need any kind of audio services, check them out. They have a special discount named after their dogs, Oreo and Maui. So if you mention their dogs, you will get a
Nice.
special discount. Woof woof to woofs for that.
Woof,
And
woof.
that is it. Have a great night, everyone. Tomorrow we're back 10 p.m. Eastern with the great Emmett Cohen. He is a talented jazz pianist. So, and we heard some improvisation tonight. So you really, or it was like foreshadowing for tomorrow.
It was totally intentional, Kabir.
Yeah, that I know. Cool. So everyone have a great night. Thanks for joining us. God bless. And
Thank you so
stay-
much. Stay
stay-
safe. Hugs to your family. Bye.